Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of College Hockey Talk. On today's podcast, I'm joined by freshman from the Union women's hockey team, Amanda Quan. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, Amanda. And how are you doing today?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be on. It's great. I'm having a great day so far. How about you?
Just got done finishing class for the week, so pretty good mood for me overall whenever that happens. So I'm looking forward to talking with you today.
Same.
Now, your team is off to a pretty good start. You guys beat UNH, you beat Holy Cross, and you guys beat BU last weekend to start the season off in non-conference play. How important were those wins for your team to start the season off right, especially since you've played a lot of road games to start off the year?
Yeah, obviously, these first 8 games are really super important. It gives us an opportunity to kind of build our confidence and work out maybe some issues that come up during game or just getting to know our line mates, things like that. And they're like obviously we're playing great teams, Hockey East, a couple out of Hockey East conference games as well. But they're just preparing us for conference play. We know the ECAC isn't an easy league to play in at all. Um, and our road games actually provide a really unique opportunity for our team to come closer since we're traveling, staying in hotels with each other, going to dinner. So it provides a great chance to bond, just so that we're closer once league comes around.
Now, how do you guys pick road roommates? Because I know it's a little bit different. They try to pair like a senior with a freshman, so I'm curious who your roommate was throughout the road trip.
Yeah, so our coaching staff does roommates. My first roommate for the year was Emily King, our senior captain. And then I also roomed with a junior assistant captain and our junior goalie just last weekend. So it rotates, which is really nice.
That's awesome. Well, a couple weekends ago, you got your very first collegiate goal against Holy Cross. It was a nice one, by the way. I love the one timer. So, um,
Thank you.
what emotions, I guess, were you feeling after you scored that goal, and where are you gonna keep the puck after the season's over?
Yeah, I felt like it was kind of a long time coming, like that specific game, like our power play, we'd gotten a lot of chances. I had really good puck retrievals from Celeste Beaudois and Emily King, and then Steph Bork with a great feed from the point. To be honest, it was like slow motion watching the puck go in the net, and once it went in, I like kind of blacked out, and you can probably like my celly is just me jumping up and down. I took a lot of heat for that, but I was just euphoric and like I'm so happy to get that one out of the way. Kind of like a monkey off my back type of situation.
Why
And
didn't
with the
you?
puck, I'm probably gonna make it. Every year I do like little like display cases of like um, my season, so put the puck and a couple other mementos in
That's awesome. Why didn't you sell you for the empty net goal on Saturday? You had the opportunity. I feel like that would have been easy enough. I feel like it's hard to do that for an empty netter.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I should have saved like a good celly for a even better goal.
Yeah.
I know, kept it low key.
Now, coming into your first year, what are some of your expectations and goals for yourself individually and then also for the team?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is kind of keeping up with the pace of the game. I'm not like the fastest player on the ice, but just moving my feet and making sure I can compete with everybody else. And I just want to do anything I can to contribute to the team success. So whether that's me blocking shots or retrieving pucks or scoring, like I want to do whatever the team needs. And as far as our team goals, like we really want to be a playoff team in the ECAC. We're really kind of tired of being at the bottom of the barrel. Um, and also like continuing to score. Last year we got shut out a lot, so we've made it a goal this year to kind of score more goals and not get shut out as much. And then on that same note, just kind of having consistency like through games, through periods, from shift to shift. Um, and I think we're doing a pretty good job of those early on in the season. So hopefully we can keep continuing on that good path.
Yeah, and also watching your team play, one thing I noticed was how physical you guys are. You guys really love to use the body. So I'm curious if I wanted to just ask because I was talking to someone from Union about it, and he said, yeah, that's what the team's sort of known for. I'm curious what it's been like to kind of be on a physical team.
Um, I think like in practice we kind of like we're used to going heavy and like obviously like the league like our BU game last weekend was a physical game and like that's how every game is in the ECAC. So we're kind of like training ourselves and each other play hard and heavy just so that when ECAC comes around, like we're ready to go and like we can play a weekend series and like still be standing, stuff like that.
Now, how was your off season? What'd you do to help your game for your first year in college hockey, and what would you say is the biggest improvement you've made to your game so far?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest improvement I made was with like my pace, and the pace of play. I would skate with some junior guys back in California, just to kind of get my pace up. And then I also worked with my shooting coach multiple times a week, just because the goalies at this level are all so good. Just like a quick release, hard, quick shot. I really focused in on this summer. And then off ice, I also did a lot. I was working out 5 days a week, skating 4 to 5 times a week, just kind of making sure like I came in here, just on a roll and ready to get going with the team.
Now, I want to transition and talk about the beginning of your career and kind of work all the way up to where you are today with Union. So, you're from California. Talk about growing up there and how did you start playing hockey?
Yeah, so I'm from Southern California. My dad was a huge Kings fan growing up, and once he was in college, he kind of taught himself how to skate. So when I was 3, he like put me on the ice, and I never really looked back from there. And honestly, I love the California hockey community. It's so small. Everybody knows everybody, like on the boys and girls side. Um, I know players like Lily Jovicic and Don Petrie, who I know have been on this podcast, and I work out with them and train with them. And it's so much fun because, like, in the summer, we'll all come back and share stories of our season. And then, like, I'll see Dom in 2 weeks when we play Clarkson. So I'm excited for that. Um, and like, I'd say the California like actual hockey playing community is, like I said, pretty small. So I played boys up until 10U, and then I switched to play for the Lady Ducks from 10U to 14U, and then my sophomore year, I left for boarding school. But I wouldn't change growing up in California for anything. Like I love, like I'm so proud to be from there and like to see the way the game is growing right now. Whenever I go back, it's awesome.
I know gold medalist Kayla Barnes is from California as well. I'm curious if you had the chance to meet her because that just shows, in my opinion, the growth of hockey in California.
I've never actually met her, but she used to play. She played a couple years for the Lady Ducks, but I was too young to really know her. And but I definitely know who she is. So yeah.
Now, growing up, who was your favorite player? Was it someone on the Kings or was it a women's player on the national team?
Actually, my favorite player was Patrice Bergeron. I'm a
Nice,
Bruins
big
fan
Bruins
as
fan.
well as
Yeah.
a Kings fan. Yeah. And I kind of model my game after him, just a strong two-way center who can score and help out in the D zone whenever it's needed, and pretty strong on draws.
Are you more of a Bruins fan or a Kings fan? I hope you say Bruins, especially since you're living in the East Coast now.
Um, I gotta go with the Kings. I There's just a little bit of nostalgia there. My dad and I would go to Kings games all the time growing up, but the Bruins are definitely like very, very close to being first, and like the TD Garden games are phenomenal. So much
Oh
fun.
yeah. Oh yeah. Now, before college, like you mentioned, you played for boarding school at Loomis Chaffee Prep School. Talk about how you got the opportunity to go there and what was that experience like for you?
Yeah. So California, I was driving 2 hours to and from practice 5 times a week, and it was hard to do well in school, and hard to have a social life as well. So I started looking into other options, and some of my teammates had actually gone to boarding school the year before, so I kind of knew about that world. And then I started exploring different schools, and I found Loomis, and I went on a tour in the summer, and I really liked the campus. So then I reached out to Coach Liz Leiden, and she ended up recruiting me. And I actually went on another tour and like shadowed a day, and I just fell in love with it. The community, the people, the school itself was everything I wanted in the school. Um, the girls on the team were amazing. I mean, we're all over the place now, but we still keep contact with each other. And Loomis like had the really good academic side that I wanted, as well as like the really good hockey side. I mean, we've made founders playoffs and knapsack playoffs every year for as long as I can remember. So I knew like that was there for me, and I like the second I walked on campus, I was like, this is home. Like I'm gonna be so happy here.
What's the best memory you have with that program?
Oh, there's a lot. I gotta say, my sophomore year, we were playing Tabor Academy, and we went into overtime in the quarterfinals, and we'd been down 3-1 the entire game, and we'd like silenced the home crowd, and we ended up winning. And I just no one thought we were gonna win. Everybody was like, "Oh, they're gonna lose," and like I remember jumping off the bench into the dog pile and then just screaming for like 20 minutes and like going into the locker room just absolutely hyped. Definitely one of my best hockey memories.
Now, how did your experience at Loomis help prepare you for college hockey with Union?
I'd say the prep schedule is really closely modeled after the college schedule. Just the difference being like when your season is starting, but like learning to manage my time and how to deal with a late practice or having practice in a lift and also studying, stuff like that really, really helped my transitions because when I got here, I was like, oh, like I've done this before, I can do that. Um, and also like just getting used to the level of play. Like there was a jump for sure when I first went to prep school from club, and then like it made the transition a little easier coming here because I knew there was going to be a jump. Um, but yeah, like the time management thing was huge for me, and like it definitely took me like a couple weeks to get into it there. But once I was into the groove, it was smooth sailing.
That must be awesome for college because that was the biggest adjustment that I had was managing my time with different classes and stuff. So that must be really such a key skill to have coming into college, already doing that in boarding school.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, talk a little bit about your recruitment process to Union. What was that like for yourself, and what made you want to go to Union versus other schools you might have looked at?
Yeah, so going into my junior year, things were a mess with COVID. So I played in the Naha Labor Day tournament, and that's where they first saw me. And they reached out. They talked to my club coach, Mid Fairfield, and then they also talked to Liz Leiden at Loomis. And we were in contact for 2, 3 months. And then obviously with COVID, I didn't really get a chance to like go on an official visit until my senior year, but they would like show me the facilities on like FaceTime and stuff like that. And I actually drove up here on an off weekend with my dad, and kind of just walked around and explored. And I knew like it was a really good academic school. We're known for having a really good STEM program, and I'm a bio major, so that was really important to me because it's not only hockey but what I do after hockey. So kind of like Loomis, like but making sure both the academic and athletic pieces were there was a huge part of why I chose Union. And like
Not-
the league as well,
Yeah,
UCAC, like I'm gonna say it might be a hot take, but UCAC is the best league in college hockey. So that was another huge like plus for me.
I think it's not a hot take because if you look at the WCHA, there's the four teams that are going to make the tournament from that conference are pretty much set in stone with Ohio State, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Minnesota Duluth. So there isn't really a lot of entertainment value because you already know which four teams are probably going
Yeah,
to make the tournament, unless obviously an upset happens. But in the ECAC, I was just looking at there's like 7, 8 teams that could have a legit case of making the tournament. Obviously, some of those teams won't get in just because I think it's only like 12 teams that make the tournament now. So I think
yeah,
it's definitely the most competitive conference in college hockey. I think I don't know, it will be interesting. It definitely I'll love to hear other players' opinions about which conference might be better, them or the WCHA, but it's definitely an interesting there's definitely a conversation to be had, I guess.
yeah, definitely.
Now, what was like the biggest adjustment you did have to make to college hockey? Was it the speed, the physicality, just the daily grind of it? Like, what was like the biggest like shock for you when you first stepped on campus?
I'd say the biggest shock was the pace. Like I know I said earlier, like I really worked this summer on like upping my pace, but there is nothing that compares to college hockey pace wise. Like you can do everything in the world and it will still not be enough. Um, and it definitely took like a couple of weeks of practice and like our exhibition against Syracuse. Like I'm gonna be honest, like I was like, oh my god, like what am I doing here? But then like you kind of settle into it and you were like, oh okay, like I can compete with this. And there are some games where like they're obviously gonna be faster than others, but the pace was definitely like the hardest part about the adjustment.
Now, how have you balanced both hockey and academics? I'm assuming you're used to it based on what you were telling me about your boarding school experience, but I'm curious if you have a strategy that you use in college.
Yeah, basically my strategy is to get things done while I can. So like if I have a free hour here and there, like I'm doing schoolwork. If I need to get ahead on a paper, like I'm doing that. Just so like throughout the day I can spread it out and not have to do like 6 hours of homework after practice, like when you're tired and you want to go to bed. So definitely my philosophy is get it done while you have the time.
That's good advice for anyone listening as well. So, now you're mentioning how the coaches at Union contacted you, and obviously your coach is Josh Skiba. So I'm just want to ask you, what's it like playing under him so far, and what have you learned under um, Coach Skiba?
Yeah, I love playing for Coach Skiva. He's an awesome guy. He's a dad too. He really cares about his family and he treats us like his daughters and is always looking out for us and checking in on us and like cares about the school aspect as well. But on the bench, like he runs a really good bench. He's not too high, not too low, always in control, which is really nice. Like when things get a little frantic, like he's always there to calm the situation. And then like practices, he focuses on development and like the little things. Because he did do a lot of work with the women's national team this year. He was an assistant, so he took a lot of the stuff he learned from there and is applying it to our practices, which is really cool, which I really enjoy.
Now, I had the chance to cover one of your games against Holy Cross a couple weeks ago, and one thing I noticed watching your team play was just the chemistry you guys have. One thing I found that interesting because it was only like your third game of the season, and there was a lot of new players on the team. Yet it felt like you guys have been playing for a few years now. So I wanted to ask you, like, how did that bond start with your teammates, and like, was there any strategy to it, or was it kind of just like once you step foot on campus, you're kind of like an easy group to kind of gel with?
Yeah, I'd say that like from our leadership group all the way down, there was a push to have like a tighter team than last year. And it started in the summer, just like we did like team fitness challenges and like kind of built that camaraderie and competitiveness at the same time. And then we actually move in a week earlier than everyone else. So it's like just us and a couple other sports teams on campus. So that gives us a lot of time just to hang out with each other and spend time in the rink and outside of the rink eating meals together, which is great. Like I know I can go to the dining hall and see girls on the team and sit with them. But I really think like hanging out outside of the rink is so important. Like on the weekends, we're always together, stuff like that. Um, and that definitely shows up on the ice, like you noticed.
Now, what game or event you're looking forward to the most this upcoming season? I don't want you to say Clarkson since you already said that, so I'm just curious if there's any other ones that you're looking forward to the most.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to the VU game that just happened. Playing in that rink is just it's an experience. Like when I was little, I was like, I want to play here, and just fulfilling that dream is like surreal to me. And my parents were also able to make it out for that weekend, so that really meant a lot to me. But I'm actually really looking forward to our Dartmouth game because we have four Loomis grads, three of which I played with at my time there. So it'll be really cool to go against them. And obviously, they have an amazing arena. So I'm really excited for that.
Are you looking forward to the Colgate game as well, just because that's a team that's going to be potentially a Frozen Four team at the end of the season?
Yeah, definitely. Colgate kind of got the best of us last year, but we're coming back with a vengeance. And I think we definitely can compete with them this year.
Now, what's the best thing about being a Union women's hockey player?
There's a lot of things I love. Honestly, it's a great group of girls. Like when it comes down to it, our culture is there. Everyone is so friendly to each other. And then couple that with great league, great academics, like it makes the all around experience so much fun.
Now, we do have some time left, so I was wondering if you want to do a segment I like to call Five Questions with Yourself that have nothing to do with hockey. It's supposed to get to know you a little bit more off the ice and your teammates as well.
Okay.
So first question is, if there was a movie made about your life, who would you want to play yourself?
Ooh, that's a really hard one. Um, I feel like Cam Beasley from The Office is kind of like who I see myself, like light, energetic, easygoing, loves to have a laugh. I'd love to see her play me. It'd definitely be a comedy movie for sure.
Definitely, definitely. Now, who is the funniest teammate that you have at Union?
The funniest teammate, there's a lot. Emily King is pretty funny. Hope Kristoff is pretty funny, and my fellow freshman Stephanie Bork is very funny.
Now, what music do you like to listen to, whether it's before a game or just on a general basis?
Before a game, I am pretty into the EDM rap type thing, so you'll see me kind of jamming out. But in general, I'm kind of all over the board. I've lately been into country music, so that's kind of what I've been on.
Now, what road arena has been the best you've played in so far? I'm assuming BU, but I'm curious if anyone else kind of took you by surprise.
I'm gonna have to go back to BU. Just like everything about that rink was amazing. Just it was a dream come true.
How'd you like the Holy Cross rink? Because I used to play there growing up. That was where I got a goal there one time in juniors. So, but you beat my record. You had 2 goals this past weekend. I only scored once. So, congratulations to you on that. Easy
Thank you.
accomplishment, I assume. But what like I'm just curious to your thoughts on that rink. The visiting locker room is terrible, but other than that, I think it's a very nice rink.
It was a little bit of a tight fit in the locker room. It reminded me a lot of like a typical like mass rink with the stands on one side.
Yeah.
But their actual like athletics facility is like it's like brand new and it's beautiful. Everything is like top of the line. It had a great atmosphere because it's such a small barn and they pack it, and the sound just kind of bounces off the low ceiling. So it was really fun to play
Yeah, and you can hear what's going on the ice too, because one of your teammates was not happy about a call, and I heard some choice words on the bench from her. So I thought I had to point that out too. I thought that was funny.
in. Hot mics.
Now, last non-hockey question is who has the best style on the team? Obviously you do, but besides yourself, who do you think has the best style on the team?
I mean, thank you for the compliment. I think Steph has one of the best styles on the team, and also Celeste Boudoir has pretty good style.
Now, I don't know if the Union social media guy is listening to this, but if he is, all I have to say is we want to see some fit checks before the games because I don't know if you see that we do the at the end of the year we pick the best style for both the men's and women's side, and I want you to at least be considered if it's a possibility. So that's all I want to say. It's just a suggestion.
Oh, we've been talking to our guy about it. I definitely would love to see some fit checks, so we'll work on it.
Awesome, awesome. I can't wait to see what you guys pull off. But final question or just general thing is any shout outs you have to any of your teammates, family members, or friends? I know you mentioned some of them throughout the interview, but if there's anything you want to say, feel free to say it. But this last thing is all for you. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about or just get anyone a shout out.
Yeah, obviously shout out my parents. I mean, they have been a huge part of my journey, how I'm here, how I got to prep school. I'm so thankful for them and everything that they've done for me. As well as like my grandparents and my cousins and my aunts and uncles. Their support over the years has really meant a lot. And I also really want to give a huge shout out to my coach, Bill Maniscalco, Mid Fairfield Stars. He is like a second dad to all of his players, and we all skate in the summer and go back to him. And he has just developed my game and really helped me get to this point, as well as Liz Leiden at Loomis. Both of them together have just been amazing and such a key part of my journey here and my success here. And then obviously my teammates, past and present, you know who you are from all the way from 8U boys to now. Thank you. Thank you for playing with me.
Well, thank you so much, Amanda, for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate your time. It means so much to myself. And you were one of my favorite players to watch on the ice. You really took me by surprise. And I was like, I got to reach out to her on the podcast. So thank you for, I guess I felt like a scout up in the press box, but thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it and keep doing great things with Union. I know that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, thank you so much for the invite. Definitely keep in touch. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Amanda, for coming on.